a nationalistic uprising, Islamophobia and Bannonisation of British politics. We're going to read into this from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of a nationalistic uprising, Islamophobia and the Bannonisation of British politics. As Liz Truss joins Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson as the latest recruits to Steve Bannon's dangerous and undemocratic international anti-globalism, more online information warfare and hate will be the result, writes Peter Jukes here. Guys, while you're here, before I give my initial thoughts, you can hit the like button and share across social media so others are notified of this video. Peter Jukes is definitely someone I admire and respect for the work that he's done, not just with Byline Times, but before that. This is a man that I greatly appreciate. And I'm really interested to read this piece that he's put together here, because I have done a video on Patreon, if you guys want to check out, on my initial reaction when Liz Truss did her first speech at CPAC. And yeah, I was quite ranty and language was quite strong about how I felt about this. And this one I'm a little bit more calmer, even though I know that what we're about to read is very concerning, to say the least. The fact that she's even there, and the fact at the time of this recording that she is still an MP, is quite despicable, to say the least. She should in no way be anywhere near British politics to side with someone like Steve Bannon, who they have no evidence to support their claims on the things that they talk about. These are dangerous people who spew any and whatever lies to get people to believe what they believe. This whole idealization of wanting to tear down every single fundamental standards of rule of law that we have in society is dangerous. It's dangerous, and it's wrong in every sense of the word. And now I know I have some people who are subscribers on my channel who generally believe that you know, here in the UK, specifically in Westminster, we have a terrible system that we have in place. We have a crap election system with first past the post. We have a terrible House of Lords system. We have a terrible Houses of Parliament, and the way the system is structured is old and terrible and does need reforming. Yes, it does need reforming, but the kind of stuff that these kind of people are talking about, they would strip it all away and literally just have one person, one dictator rule it all and make the final calls, as opposed to having democracies, democratic laws and checks and boundaries that we need in every society. There's a lot of societies out there, a lot of nations out there that don't have those checks and boundaries, and as a result you see nothing but devastation, conflict, corruption, backstabbing consistently in these nations without these checks and balances. And Steve Bannon is a dangerous man. He does not back up what he says with evidence of what he says, and I think it's absolutely disgusting that LBC had him on, I think a couple of months ago. Andrew Marr interviewed him, and I have no idea why are we giving any light whatsoever to these kinds of people. We should not be highlighting these kinds of people. It radicalizes children, and it's dangerous. It's so dangerous. And the fact that we have a former Prime Minister here associating herself with these kind of people, it's sickening to the core. Nigel Farage, it's wrong in every sense of the word, guys. You know, going down this path, is this the path we really want? The vast majority, I'm pretty confident that the vast majority of the British public don't want to go down this path. Yes, we have problems in British politics, no question. But if we allow people like them in power, it really will be the end of any kind of democracy in the UK. For how much longer is the former Trump campaign manager and co-founder of Cambridge Analytica going to be allowed to subvert our policies and stoke division in our communities? Sharing a platform with Liz Truss at the annual Conservative Annual Action Conference (CPAC) in Maryland last week and talking about the forthcoming Rochdale by-election, Steve Bannon described Tommy Robinson as a hero. Tommy Robinson, a hero. You think he's a hero? Based on what? What exactly has he done to be described as a hero? And Truss, the shortest serving Prime Minister in UK history, appeared to agree with him. That is correct, she said. She's such a robot. It is not the first time Bannon has praised the founder of the English Defence League, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. 4 years ago, while Robinson was serving a 13-month prison sentence for contempt of court, Bannon called him the backbone of the UK. He is no backbone of the UK. He's not the backbone of anything associated with our country. But it's the first time such a senior Conservative has endorsed him. The Deputy Conservative Prime Minister Oliver Dowden attempted to make excuses for Truss this weekend, saying that she might not have heard Bannon correctly, but even if Truss, who is still a Conservative MP, didn't understand that she was supporting a multiple convicted British criminal and subverted activist, she should have known that she was sharing a stage with another multiple convicted American criminal and subvert activist, Steve Bannon himself. Bannon, as Steve Graham first revealed in this newspaper 5 years ago, was investigated and indicted for fraudulently using funds raised for the Build the Wall US-Mexico Barrier project in 2020. The outgoing President Donald Trump grants last-minute pardons for his federal offences in 2021, but Bannon still faces state-level charges in a trial in New York later this year. He was also found guilty of 2 charges of criminal contempt for his role in the January 6th insurrection at the US Capitol. This is where Bannon's role in both America and US democracies really matter. His vulgarous attempts to destroy it on both sides of the Atlantic. At CPAC, sharing a stage with the right-wing activist Jack Posobiec, Bannon agreed that he wanted to overthrow democracy just because they didn't get it all their way on January the 6th. And people believe this. People believe this insanity. What happened on January the 6th was one of the darkest days in American history. It's a horrible, horrible day for American history. It's a stain on America. That's what it was. People died as well. People died. Bannon also revealed they had similar designs on the UK. He urged Truss to join forces with the Reform Party headed by Richard Tice. He told a Mirror report that his old friend Nigel Farage would be installed as Prime Minister as part of a Nationalist Uprising. These people are crazy. Absolutely crazy. Do you honestly think, because I know there are people who are I know there are subscribers of mine who plan to vote Reform, and I honestly think, do you honestly think these people, the likes of Richard Tice and Nigel Farage, do you honestly think these people actually care about you? I don't care about you. I don't care about your problems. Look at what's happened to the fishing industry since we left the EU. When's the last time Nigel Farage has gone down there to speak to those fishermen? Just as a prime example. When's the last time he actually just, talked to ordinary people outside his own bubble? Yeah? Every time he has his little groupings, it always happens to be old white men and women. Never seems to be young people. He doesn't hang out a lot with young people, does he? It tells you a lot about what the next generation thinks of him. Speaks a lot of volumes, doesn't it? While this intervention may have taken some by surprise, it is merely a culmination of over a decade during which Bannon has attempted to subvert British politics. Given that history, what can we expect next? A large part of Steve Bannon's impact on politics on both sides of the Atlantic in his use of social media and digital campaigns to change the culture of debate. The very frame of referencing and facts that we use to debate politics, he's referring to this information warfare as flooding the zone with SHIT. And the combination of of disinformation and digital targeting of his weapons. Cultivating those tactics go back to 2013 when Bannon allied with a billionaire hedge fund owner Robert Mercier to run the Britpart publication and co-founded the now defunct data analytics firm Cambridge Analytica, involved in the great Facebook hack and micro-targeting scandal. The company was a spin-off of a strategic military outfit, SCL, which was used to de-radicalise civilians and insurgents in combat zones. The British element in Bannon's campaign can be traced to his long friendship with Farage, though the Cambridge Analytica has more specific routes. In 2013, Bannon attended the 10th anniversary conference of the Youth Britain's Foundation, the YBF, at Churchill College, Cambridge University, just as he was setting up his new company. An offshoot of the Young American Foundation, YBF, was founded by lawyer Donald Bailey, currently in a legal dispute with this newspaper acting on behalf of GB News presenter Dan Wootton. Both the YBF and its American counterpart appear to have been funded by the Mercier family, which has also backed Cambridge Analytica and Bannon Brainbart. By this point, the YBF had become the centre of right-wing US-style Republican thinking and apathy towards the EU. Its co-founder, the now indulgable Danny Howden, a leading Brexiteer and Conservative MEP. On its advisory board was Matthew Elliott, who's helped set up the Tufton Street network. It feels like there's a connection coming here, guys. Of opaquely founded liberation think tanks, and he was the chief executive of the official Vote Leave campaign during the Brexit referendum. He has also been elevated to the House of Lords. Yeah, how's that Brexit going for us, guys? Are you feeling better off? That sovereignty paying off? Speakers at the YBF's 10th anniversary include Paul Staines of the Geigo Fawkes site and Douglas Murray, who spoke on Jihad, Islam, Israel and the War on Terror. Bannon shared a platform with Harry Cole, head of the news of Geigo Fawkes, and Rafi Cousin to discuss digital campaigning. Cousin went on to both edit the London edition of Bren Hart and act as Farage's aide for the next few years. He now co-hosts Bannon's War Room podcast. Also present the then Executive Director of YBF, Matthew Richardson, who was also reported to be Mercer's legal representation in the UK at the time. He went on to become the Secretary of Farage's UKIP and sign a deal with Bannon in the run-up to the EU referendum so that Cambridge Analytica could process UKIP's data for the targeting of the unofficial Leave.eu campaign fronted by Farage. Richardson now works for Rebecca Mercier to help set up their social media site Parler. This is an email released by the Cambridge Analytica executive on the UKIP data handling over to Leave EU Andy Whittemore, the former YBF chief executive Matthew Richardson here. Says there to Andy and Matthew, we need to agree to lie and take the presentation next week regards to the origin of the data we have analysed. We have generated some interest findings that we can share for our presentation, but we are certain to be asked where the data came from. Can we declare that we have analysed UKIP memberships and data, survey data? You know this is all this. You just know this stinks so much. The more I read about this, guys. The YBF will be closed 2 years later amid allegations of sexual misconduct and bullying around the suicide of young activist Elliot Johnson. Cambridge Analytica wouldn't last much longer, according to the former head of research, Chris Weil. The company set up temporary offices in the English University town around the time of the YBF conference at Churchill College. Soon it was working with Cambridge academics to establish a research project to psychophilosophy profile voters, which would end up illegally harvesting the personal data and even personal messages of up to 87 million Facebook users to be used for their political targeting. Though many argue about the impact of psychometric targeting in online messaging, both the Brexit and Trump voters were swung by small margins in 2016. Cambridge Analytica's chief executive Alexander Nix boasts that digital targeting was the key to the success in both results. Though it did not use Cambridge Analytica directly, the Vote Leave campaign used the campaign Canadian offshoot, AIQ, and Project Ripon database to target swing voters with billions of online ads, often unlawfully paid for, in the last days before the EU referendum. With Caroline Cadwell revealed the Facebook hack and Cambridge Analytica's role in Brexit and Trump in The Observer in 2018, it wiped billions off the value of Mark Zuckerberg's social media company, and Cambridge Analytica was closed and its offices raided by law enforcement. But Steve Bannon had already left Brent Hart and Cambridge Analytica by then and had an even bigger fish to fry. Still think this guy's a good person? It's just the more I read of this, the more it just makes me sick to my stomach. Russia and Islamophobia. Like his friend Nigel Farage, Bannon is keen to talk to the need to protect Europe's Judeo-Christian culture, as if it has not been one of the problems and the Holocaust, while marginalising and monstering the first branch of the three great Asmaretic regions, Islam. He's embracing of the great replacement conspiracy that Europe is being overrun by Muslim invaders. Oh, for God's sake, not this rubbish again. There is this stupid conspiracy. It's just a folly. It really is. It's so stupid. It really is. Has infected the worldwide of many right-wing parties across the continent. This includes elements of the UK Conservative Party, which has been unafraid to advance these fear-mongering narratives. The latest example of the former Conservative Vice Chair Lee Anderson's recent comments about London Mayor Sadiq Khan handling the city to Islamic, echoed by the former Home Secretary Suella Braverman in the wake of public protest in London over the Israel-Hamas war. Activating xenophobia, particularly around Islam, is one of the key themes used by both Leave campaigns during the EU referendum in 2016. When triggered by Russian military activity in the war-torn Syria, hundreds of thousands of refugees started fleeing to Europe. But then Prime Minister David Cameron accused Vladimir Putin of deliberately weaponising refugees to destabilise Europe. Farage's Leave.eu campaign used its notorious breaking point poster to spread fear about invading Muslim migrants, while recycling Russian fake news about Muslim violence in online ads. Meanwhile, the Vote Leave campaign, fronted by Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, wasn't much better, falsely suggesting that 18 million Turks were about to swamp the Britain and the EU. People bought into it. Where are those 80 million Turks? Yeah, guys. That's right, they haven't even gone into Europe. Johnson also deployed Islamophobic tribes to set the tone for his ousting of Theresa May and taking over the leadership of the Conservatives in the summer of 2019, inspired by Steve Bannon. Appointed Foreign Secretary after failing to beat May for the leadership, Johnson first struck up a personal relationship with Bannon in late 2016, when Trump campaign manager was made head of staff in the White House. In early 2017, Johnson's Foreign Office invited Cambridge Analytica executives to the election briefing on use of data in Trump's successful campaign. Both men were reported to be in regular contact throughout the next 2 years, during which Bannon also advised Michael Gove and Jacob Rees-Mogg. When Johnson resigned as Foreign Secretary in 2018, Bannon claimed to have consulted him in a move to oust Theresa May. One of Johnson's first was to write a Telegraph comment comparing Muslim women to bank robbers and letterboxes, a provocation very much in line with Bannon's Bret Hart strategy of sectarian division to activate a hard-right racist base. Around that time, he was commentating Tommy Robinson as the backbone of Britain. Bannon also claimed that Johnson would be a great Prime Minister. Yeah, he really wasn't. History speaks for itself on that. Soon Johnson picked up one of Bannon's favourite Bret Hart themes, saying in a rare intervention in Parliament 2019 that there was a plot by the deep state to frustrate Brexit, that the deep state catch all conspiracies that chimes with the great replacements, that elites are deliberately using migrations as a weapon. It was echoed by Liz Truss in her appearance at CPAC last week. But working in the shadows behind all of this genuine deep state, one of which has weaponized migrants to fuel fear and division, the security system of Vladimir Putin's Russia. During both the Brexit referendum and Trump's election campaign, Russian intelligence agencies were funding and promoting the same causes as Bannon's Cambridge Analytica. Indeed, there's plenty of evidence that there was an element of collusion between them. Cambridge Analytica said many links to Russia's state-controlled Lukoil company. It worked extensively with St. Petersburg University around the corners from the notorious Internet Research Agency, owned by the late oligarch Yevgeny Poskin, which spent $50 million targeting US and UK voters. One of Cambridge Analytica's consultants, Sam Petton, set up a company with a Russian intelligence agent, and another crucial voting data on US swing states were passed on to the GRU, the same Russian military agency that supported Poskin. You can see they're all connected to each other in one way, shape or form. Though Cambridge Analytica has now been shut down and Poskin died on a plane crash after defying Putin last year, there is little doubt these propaganda practices and Russian support for them lives on in new forms. Though Putin's imperial expansionist intent had been revealed by the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, he's now able to weaponize the conflict of Gaza to much of the same purpose as he did with Syria, to promote xenophobia and the recurring Reoccurring racist troops of the Muslim hordes taking over Europe. Oh, God. Stop saying that. I just can't stand that crap. Unlike Syria a decade ago, there is no direct evidence of Russian involvement in Hamas' horrific assault on Israel on October 7th last year. Though the Kremlin does have close ties with Hamas main backers in Iran, there is little doubt that distraction from his invasion of Ukraine suits Putin's purpose. Given Bannon's reliance on key figures like Tommy Robson, the use of hate and Islamophobia to achieve a desired nationalist uprising, it should be no surprise, even if it was a shock, that unsculptured senior conservatives such as Boris Johnson and Liz Truss will go along with him not only to promote Trump in the forthcoming US election, but also again to stoke division and mistrust in Britain. If he succeeds in any way, this will foster a darker, dangerous form of right-wing conservatism in this country, a tragic, toxic legacy for us all. Peter Jukes, for a reminder, is the co-founder and executive editor of Byline Times. And guys, I'm going to remind you guys to please, whenever you can, support Byline Times and the work that they do, because they are one of the rare, only, I would say, one of the most trusted, reliable journalists out there. And they are not funded by any private donors or whatnot. They are funded by people, by people generally subscribing and joining them. And I'll put links in their descriptions if you want to support their work, guys, because I think they do fantastic work. This is a great piece by Peter Jukes, and it's incredibly scary. You know, we have to combat this. You know, the West has to combat this. They can't just continue to allow this to happen. They're all in it together, all of them. They're all linked to one another, and this is all, for them, it's a case of, they don't, you know, these people, the likes of Steve Bannon and Truss and all these, they're just fueled by money and power. Putin wants to bring down the West. He wants to bring down bring down democracy. He wants to open up divisions. He wants to reform the USSR. We can't allow this to happen. We can't allow the power of information. We have to fight back, and we have to fight back with truth. We have to show people that what these lot are saying is not true, and we have to make the arguments to them, because if we don't make the arguments to them, they're going to rip apart everything that we value, everything that we stand for, not just here but in other parts of the world. Liz Truss is dangerous and must be removed as an MP, and must be kept out of politics. Yes, we remember her for crashing the economy, but they will do absolutely everything to show that she's more than capable of being a Prime Minister again. And we can't allow her to gain control. We cannot allow her back in politics. She has to go. And we can't allow someone like Nigel Farage anywhere near British politics. You know, as long as he continues to sit on the outskirts, he can able to spew whatever words that he wants. But we must make sure that the next generations, our minds are not poisoned by this stuff. For the sake of Britain, for the sake of England, for the sake of the future of many. But what do you guys make of this piece by Peter Jukes? What do you make of the Nationalist Uprising, the Islamophobia and the Bannonisation of British politics? What do you make of your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. And if you want to financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or joining me on Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.